calling from phone number 320-583-9222. I'm muting you. Please stay on mute. Thank you.
Good morning. Sheila, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we're going to get started with the board meeting. We'll call the board meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Commissioner Pohlmeyer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and again, good morning. Before we get started with our regular business, this is that time of year where we have some recognitions, and we also have some retirements today. So this morning, we're going to recognize two of our commissioners. First, we got to get a little organized here. Everybody get up there. But first, we'd like to recognize Commissioner Ron Szymanski. Commissioner Szymanski, if you could go to the front, please. Okay. Again, we'd like to recognize Commissioner Ron Szymanski for his years of service with the McLeod County Board. Ron's knowledge will be missed, along with his dedication to public service in McLeod County. Ron has supported many McLeod County committees through his years as commissioner. His contributions are greatly appreciated. With his absence comes a great loss of working knowledge and experience. Ron, thank you for your friendship, and we wish you best in your retirement and future endeavors.
Thank you, Joe. Oh, can I comment?
Ron, you're welcome to say a few words if you can fight the feedback up there, but however you'd like to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make some comments. I would feel more comfortable if I could comment from my position on the other side of the room. If that's all right.
That'd be fine. Yes.
And I would like to, you can proceed with the presentations at this time. And after reseated, I would like to make a few comments.
Very well. Next, we'd like to recognize Commissioner Rich Pohlmeyer. Commissioner Pohlmeyer is an outgoing commissioner for the 4th District of McLeod County, and we thank you for his years of service with the McLeod County Board of Commissioners. Rich's dedication and public service has been greatly appreciated. Rich had the opportunity to serve on many committees throughout his term as commissioner. We appreciate the commitment and dedication that Rich has provided McLeod County. He will be missed. Rich, we wish you the best in your future plans. Thank you for your service, and we appreciate your support.
Thank you, everyone. And I will continue to be around if anybody needs. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Szymanski, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I heard Commissioner Kruger speak up. Would you like to entertain his request first?
Very well. Commissioner Kruger?
Well, I was waiting for everybody to get set there, but I just wanted to offer my congratulations to both Commissioner Szymanski and Commissioner Pohlmeyer, and thank them for their years of service, and it was all appreciated. And I wish them the best. I wish I could be there. I mean, in this changing world, a lot of things are changing for me, and it kind of sucks that we can't be together and shake hands, but I do appreciate their service. Thanks.
Thank you, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
Mr.
Thank you,
Chair,
Doug.
if I may just make a few comments.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's been a terrific experience serving as a McLeod County Commissioner. For my constituents in District 1, I want to say thank you for your support and confidence in me. I appreciate all the words of commendation that I've received, and I look forward to continuing those friendships for years into the future. When I came to the county board, everyone has some objectives, some goals in mind, and I'm just happy that so many of the things that I envisioned when I first came to the county board are in place and working well. We've got our government center going. We've consolidated a lot of departments within the county. We've had extensive growth in the services that we provide, and yet we've maintained a fairly steady budget throughout it all. And I'm just proud to have served the residents of McLeod County and served with my fellow commissioners, Commissioner Nagel, Commissioner Pohlmeyer, Commissioner Wright, and Commissioner Kruger. You've been great friends, and we will miss the interaction at the county board level, but you will always know that I'm watching from the sidelines now. So thank you to all of McLeod County, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve as your county commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Congratulations. Rich, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank all the people of McLeod County for allowing me to serve them for the last 4 years. I agree with Commissioner Szymanski. We've done quite a bit in the last 4 years, creating the government center, creating a administration, and just the departments and so forth that we've worked to set McLeod County in good steads for the next 30 years. So once again, I'm proud of what we've done in the last 4 years as a group of commissioners, and I would thank Commissioner Wright, Commissioner Kruger, Commissioner Nagel, and Commissioner Szymanski for allowing me to be part of this and giving me the opportunity to serve the people of McLeod County. Thank you.
All right. Well, gentlemen, you have one more meeting left, so don't run off. All right. We also have some milestone of service recognition. Administrator Murphy will go through those.
Thank you. Just one moment, please. To recognize our milestone years of service at McLeod County, listed you'll see 1 year of service. Gary Templin, Rhonda Dilberstein, Angela Templin, Liz Danielson, Scott Kruger, Scott Bullock, Lauren Johnson, Jacob Springman, Amber McClure, Nicholas Pagel, Destiny Duhamel, Stacy Schmidt, Jeffrey Hetke, Whitney Gangruth, Aaron McNeely, Sam Munson, Jonathan Robin, Amber Huseman, Renita Lewis, Brian Platt, Jay Lee Grancy, Damian Olson, Nicole McLean, Emily Berry, Eric Schomer, Liam Wall, Teresa Malin, Jessica Gettle, Emily Asleson, Brittany Clemish, Larry Monsky, Herman Navarro Farias, Anna Gusas, Daniel Crotto, Melissa Riekert, and then our 5 years of service, Joe Nagel, Doug Kruger, Nancy Jurgensen, Tammy Fleck, Heidi Zulsdorf, Joel Eide, Matthew Kern, Janet Betzinger, Cindy Ludwig, Danny Kirchhoff, Catherine Beckman, Scott Gribna, Daryl Couturier, Heather Hahn, Dennis Paulson. Sean McCoy, Jennifer Lang, Brittany Becker, Lexi Melius, Karina Mendoza, Shannon Swenson, Danielle Flores, Lisa Farr, Wayne Rosenfeld, Lori May, Vanessa Hayden, Jody Schmidt, Karen Hildemir, Michaela Otto, David Heidebrink. Thank you. 10 years of service, Dan Gilday, Scott Rosiniak, Melissa Stonelake, Amber Kester, and Brenda Sandquist. Thank you. 15 years of service, Colleen Robeck, Beth Ward, Kim Newman, Elizabeth Todd, Sandy Pasusta, Pamela Kelly, Jillian O'Brien, Lori Lundgren, Carrie Ward, Sherry Buckentine, Brenda Shimoleski, Kristen Graham, Will Feltman, and Shanna Walsh. And 20 years of service, Mark Tuletsky, Leah Lundgren, Tamara Parrott, Leanne Swanson, Sally Abo, Craig Gleaden, and Jamie Scow. And 25 years of service, Joanne Bowen, Ryan Freitag. Thank you. 30 years of service, Brian Michaelis, Jeffrey Alexson, and Pat Schomer. Thank you. 35 years of service, Shelley Lang, Kathy Hochsprung, and Lynette Shrub. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you to all your employees, and we're happy to recognize you, although it'd be in a different manner this year. Congratulations. Right, on with the agenda. Consideration of agenda items. Any corrections or additions to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I have a change.
Yes.
Thank you. Item H from the consent agenda, which is on page 2, will need to be moved to administration, item G, so that the board can authorize Barrett Spores, Director of Health and Human Services, to sign that agreement. Thank you.
All right, before I take a motion for that, I failed to call for a roll call of commissioners. If we could do that, please. Commissioner Kruger?
Here.
Commissioner Schmansky?
Here.
Commissioner Wright?
Here.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Here.
Commissioner Nagel is present. I will now entertain a motion to approve the agenda, including the change.
Mr. Chair, Kruger moves on the agenda with the correction.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Polmeyer will second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Schmansky?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes yes. Motion carries 5-0. The consent agenda, remembering the removal of item H.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Szymanski moves the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Commissioner Wright, second.
Second with Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger,
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Aye.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes yes. Motion carries 5-0. Well, on to our COVID update. Barrett, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. As of yesterday, we had 3,043 positive cases in McLeod County since the start of the pandemic. At our last board meeting, which was December 15th, I reported 2,855 positive cases. That's an increase of 188 positive cases over the last 2 weeks. That's still a large number, but as you will see, that number is slowly decreasing, which is a good thing. We remain steady at 48% of those testing positive male, 52% female. We have had 39 COVID-19 related deaths since the start of the pandemic, with 9 deaths in the last 2 weeks. At the present time, we have 95 residents who are hospitalized due to COVID-19, 10 of which are in the ICU. Those people that are hospitalized range in age from 27 to 98, so quite a span there. And we currently have 76 active cases, which has definitely decreased. So some good news there. The race of those testing positive, 83% white or non-Hispanic, 12% Hispanic or Latinx, and then less than 1% for the following races: Black, American Indian, and Asian, and then the remainder are just not reporting a race. At this time, Hutchinson is reporting the most cases of COVID-19 at 41%, Glencoe at 25%, Lester Prairie at 8%, Winstead 7%, Stewart Lake at 5%, Silver Lake at 5%, excuse me, Stewart and Brownton both at 2%, Stewart and Plato at 2%, Brownton at 4%. Our school rate for the last week, and as a reminder, that comes out every Thursday, was at 154.36%. Still a very high number, but it is slowly decreasing. We expect this Thursday for it to be under 100%, which is great. Most of the schools are on Christmas break, which is good. We do have 2 McLeod County schools that are on the MDH list as having reported cases in the last 2 weeks. That's Park Elementary in Hutchinson and New Discovery Montessori in Hutchinson. Our free testing clinic at the Hutchinson Armory is still open and available. Starting in January, which is just around the corner, they will move to a saliva testing instead of the mid-nasal swab. We are working with 6 businesses right now who have identified clusters of COVID-19. And let me see here. Working on some media messaging to the public regarding, unfortunately, when the vaccine comes out, there's new scams. And one of the scams we have heard about is that someone is making calls to people and claiming to be local public health and is saying to set up your vaccine. Local public health will not be calling individuals to set up vaccines. So we want to get some messaging out about that. Let's see. Last week, we did get, local public health did get our first shipment of vaccine. We received 100 doses of Moderna on the 23rd of December. We are set to receive another shipment this week. We are still working on plans to be able to vaccinate people. There's a few things we need from the state of Minnesota, the Minnesota Department of Health, in order for us to finalize those things. Barb Carlson and Erica Herzog have been working tirelessly to get things in place. The first people we will vaccinate will be our local public health nurses who are going to administer the vaccine. Our EMS providers that have an emergency medical services regulatory board certification or registration, and then those community testers. So the people that are testing at the Hutchinson Armory, we will vaccinate them as well. We continue to work closely with Kevin Matthews and our hospitals and all of our partners to get prepared to vaccinate. Any questions for me?
Any questions for Barrett? If not, does Sheila, Kevin have anything to do?
Yes,
Kevin is online.
Okay, we never know if you're going to show up, Kevin.
yeah, I am here. So just want to briefly let you know that, yes, we are working very closely with Health and Human Services and then the public health staff there with the vaccination clinic. Our Emergency Operations Center is still functional and operational and meeting weekly, at least written comments or even virtual meetings. So we're continuing to work together as we continue through this pandemic and the progress being made. As Barrett says, we're working on this vaccine. There's a lot of logistics that are involved in that, and I'm kind of currently working on securing a couple of locations in the county that we could potentially use for not only just this phase of the vaccination process with our priority workers and those that are certified to get that vaccine first, and then eventually we're going to be looking at doing community testing events throughout the several months down the road. So we're working on the logistics of those as we speak. We're also finalizing the numbers of our public safety that are EMS certified, EMSRB certified through the Emergency Services Regulatory Board, and working on their final numbers and contact information so that when we have everything in line that we can start giving vaccines, we have the roster of those that are 100% certain that they wish to get the vaccine, and we have their contact numbers so we can contact them so that we don't waste any vaccine down the road. So another thing that's kind of going on is obviously winter storms. You know, obviously with the blizzard last week, got kind of busy kind of coordinating some things, and even potential with the snow this afternoon. I got a call from the State Emergency Operations Center yesterday, who does the testing site in the Hutchinson Armory, wondering if we should cancel that. So I provided them some information as far as you know, what we kind of expect, and gave my opinions. I don't know if it's going to be canceled or not. I think there's a low number of people that were set to get the vaccine or the test today, but we'll see kind of how that goes. But with that, that's pretty much my update for today.
Very good, Kevin. Thank you. With no questions for Kevin, Sheila, anything you would like to add, administrative-wise?
Thank you. As many of you have heard, the bill passed through the state the week before last with a business assistance package that has a local focus, and that was put into county buckets. So we'll talk more about that during the administration portion of the agenda. One thing to note, of course, we're all anticipating the opening of the government center coming very quickly now in mid-January. We, of course, will not be having a grand opening and group tours and a community focus at first when we're amidst COVID. We have been doing some small focus tours, and we'll be doing one with media from the McLeod County Chronicle coming up soon, and then they will share some information in the newspaper and on their website. However, we are having a flag dedication ceremony on January 8th at the facility outside, of course. We would ask that if anyone would like to attend, that they do so probably from their vehicle. It's not going to be warm out, of course. We'll release more information on our website and our Facebook page when that is available for time and such. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right. I'll ask Barrett to come back online for some Health and Human Services items on our agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have two items for you today. Item A, consider approval of the 2021 Hispanic Outreach Worker Contract with Carmen Patino for the period of January 1, 2021 through December 31st, 2021 at a rate of $34.88 an hour with funds from the Public Health Budget 01-485. Ms. Patino will provide assistance at WIC clinics and with WIC activities, assistance with child and teen checkups and early childhood screening clinics, and provide family mentoring and translation to Hispanic families and interpretation for staff. These services will be provided at a rate of $34.88, like I mentioned, an hour. This is a 3% increase over the current year's rate.
Mr.
Very
Chair,
good. Any questions for Barrett? Yes, Ron.
Commissioner Szymanski would move the approval of the Hispanic outreach worker contract.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
I'll second Commissioner Polmeyer.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Excuse me, aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes yes. Motion carries 5-0. Item B, Barrett.
Thank you. Item B, consider approval of the Crisis Program Joint Powers Agreement with Carver County to receive funding and administer mental health crisis and other relating services to clients in McLeod and Carver counties for the period of January 1, 2021 through December 31st, 2021 for a one-time fee of $10,000 with funds from the Individual and Family Social Services Budget 11-430. Carver County will provide mental health crisis and act as the fiscal agent and assume responsibility for billing patients' insurance and mental health services that the patient receives. So basically, we are paying them to be the fiscal host.
Mr. Chair, this is Polmeyer. I will move to approve this.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there a second?
Second by Commissioner Szymanski.
Thank you, Ron. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Barrett, can you give us a little background how much activity or utilization we have had in this program in the past year or two? Do you have any of that information available to you today?
I don't, Commissioner Szymanski. I don't think we use them as much as our other crisis options, but I certainly could look into that and get back to the board.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing now, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Barrett, anything else?
No, thank you very much.
Okay, we'll see you at the administrative part. We can go over that item we you wanted to discuss further. The Public Works, John.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Item A is to ask you to consider approval of a joint powers agreement between McLeod County and the city of Winsted. This will be for the future construction of our County State Highway 5 corridor between County Roads 1 and 9. Similar to past agreements, this agreement formalizes the roles, responsibilities, costs, and other aspects of the future project between McLeod County and Winsted. As you know, we've done some preliminary engineering on this corridor, trying to get it honed in and designed. Currently, we're targeting a construction date of 2022 or 2023, depending on some grant opportunities. Current estimated cost of the project is approximately $3 million, with about $2.4 million of that being McLeod County costs and about $500,000 City of Winsted costs. Some of the grant opportunities that are out there with this project is one which we've utilized in the past, the Local Road Improvement Program. There's grants out there potentially for around $1 million, up to $1,250,000, we believe the next round will be. And then the city has opportunities to apply for Minnesota DEED Business Development Public Infrastructure Program, which covers another approximately $800,000 if the city's successful in getting that, which would bring the whole project down to around $900,000 to $1 million project. The joint powers agreement doesn't, we're not locked in any costs right now. Construction costs, it just allows us to move forward with a formalizing agreement with the Winstead. And I know Adam, Burkholz City Administrator, is on the call as well. But I know Winstead would like the joint powers agreement in place so they can get going with potential grant opportunities with Deed and some of those other folks.
Adam, anything you'd like to add?
Not this time. Nope.
Very good. Commissioners, any questions?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Schmancy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to thank both our McLeod Highway Engineer, John Brunkhorst, and Adam Burkholz, Administrator for the City of Winstead, for working so diligently on this project. And it's a vision that we've had for a long time, and I'm glad to see that we're making steps into getting this project done. I congratulate you both. And Mr. Chair, I move the approval of the joint powers agreement between McLeod County and the City of Winstead for the County State Aid Highway number 5 extension.
Motion by Commissioner Schmancy. Is there a second?
Second, Commissioner Wright.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just want to pretty much agree completely with what Ron said. This is a great project. We've been looking at it for a while. It's going to have a great impact for the City of Winstead. We've now kind of steered our ship towards focusing on that economic development, and that is pretty much what this road is going to be able to offer is more room for that expansion in that area, as well as community safety. So this is a great project, and glad we're finally getting to this step.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, then yes, Doug, go ahead.
I'll just echo that. We've had some meetings with Winstead, excuse me, and economic development, and they're expanding there, and it shows that we're interested in expanding our tax base, and it looks very promising. So I'm in full agreement with it myself.
Yeah, and me personally, I've been in favor of this project from the beginning, but wanted to make sure we laid out our partnerships potentials for the future. And I want to thank Adam and John for considering my concerns and getting the answers that I needed to support this. So thank you very much. All right, any further discussion? Hearing now, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Schmancy?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yep.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes yes. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Item B, C, and D relate to new snowplow trucks and snowplow equipment for those trucks. Item B, they're separated out. B and C are separated out because there's different trade values with the old trucks that we're trading in. So the first one, item B, we'd like to consider purchase of a 2022 Mack tandem chassis from Nuss Truck Equipment out of Roseville, Minnesota. This is a state bid price of $120,345.51, and that is in our equipment budget for 2021. That particular truck includes the trade-in of a 2004 Sterling snowplow and plow package, valued at $18,000 is the trade value for that. I don't know if how you want to entertain these items, Mr. Chair.
Well, we'll probably need to go one at a time here. So we'll consider item B.
Maybe some more background information on them. So these two trucks that we plan on putting in the fleet are a little bit different than our traditional plows we bought in the past. These trucks will have a fifth wheel package that will pull our trailers in the summer, two semi trailers. Currently, we have two semi tractors that are in need of some work too, that we plan on rotating out of the fleet when these particular trucks come online. And in the wintertime, the fifth wheel is removed and the equipment package, the sander package is placed on the back of it and used for the snow and ice. So it really will serve two purposes. In the summer, this will pull our semi trailers, and in the wintertime, it'll function as a typical snowplow.
Mr. Chair?
All right. Yes.
I know we're procedurally, we should take these one at a time, but I would ask that we have our discussion, because the things I wrote down for discussion pertain to the whole thing. So I guess I'll start. I can't remember when I seen this coming up on the agenda. I mean, I can't remember working harder to check out um, the figures on the money, and I actually took the time yesterday and went and looked at the trucks, and I've been working with John Bronkhorst and Elvis and Brian to look at these efficiencies. I mean, honestly, I could argue it both ways. I personally, after going through it all, I like what they're doing. I think there's some safety aspects to the new trucks. I think you don't have to drive around with the boxes up. If anybody looked at the packet, there's a photo of the trucks there. So safety wise, you don't have to run with the box in the air. The viewing in today's world of the traffic and people around, I think the viewing from what I'm seeing is a lot better. And I see if I can go through these by the numbers here. The efficiencies, I had them pull some efficiencies on mileage on the new trucks. I mean, for instance, the 2000, I don't know if you guys have this in your packet at all. I didn't see it, but like, for instance, the 2000 truck has got 164,500 miles on it. It's got 8,225 hours, and they burned up 87,860 gallons of fuel at a fuel ratio of 1.87 miles per gallon. Well, even to the 2004, the mileage went up to 2.28 miles per gallon. And I don't know if Elvis or Brian got me the numbers, but I was trying to get some numbers on the newer models, because I am sure I got an unofficial number of over 3 miles to the gallon. That's quite an efficiency. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, I can get picky on the units themselves about some issues we're having. Unfortunately, the one that looks better than the other has some maintenance issues that could cost more than the truck is worth. So, and I'm very interested in the part that the sander comes off and it turns into a fifth wheel tractor. The two units that we have are quite old. We have 3 trailers. I went and looked at them. They're in good repair. I think we need to utilize them more if we have a decent power unit under them, which this would provide. And I'd like to see how these, in the maintenance world, I'd like to see how these cycle. You're pulling off the box and able to maintain that in the summer, and probably keep it in better repair. And then utilize the trailers for some of the hauling that they are doing, so whether it's stockpiling or using at different job sites. So I don't know how to break it down. I mean, we can go one at a time. Again, I guess I'll look for anybody's questions on what I commented on, or if they have any questions. I think Elvis for sure is on the call, and obviously I know John is, but I think all these comments should centralize around the whole package. I mean, it's, if you guys agree with me, that's where I'm at. I'll stop for now. We're in a 15-year cycle. I guess one more thing. According to our guys, we're in a 15-year cycle the way we're cycling through our trucks. We did not buy one last year. That money, any money that was left in the budget, cycle back into the highway budget. John can comment on that, but I was told, and trying to look through the figures, we skipped a couple of years once before my time, so I can't exactly comment on that. Paul, you might remember, but anyhow, there was 4 trucks bought at a time. Now they're cycling through, so that issue is going to come up again. And what attracts me to this is this combination unit, and I'd like to get them in the fleet, to be quite honest, to see how it's all about efficiencies. I know it's a lot of money, but it's all about efficiencies, and I'd like to see how they would work. So when these trucks start cycling through, maybe we can make some policy changes. But that's where I'm at today. So I'd like to hear from some of the rest of the commissioners. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
John, do you have, yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I'll add to what Commissioner Kruger said. So we pulled the data on our 2019 unit and a 2016 unit, and both of those are getting 4.1 miles per gallon. That's for the life of them. Our guys commented this summer that when they're pulling the pup for hauling gravel, not doing snow and ice, they're getting closer to 5 miles an hour, 5 miles per gallon, I should say. And then, of course, a little less when you're doing snow and ice. But just the 2016 unit alone, if we compare it to what the older ones got at around 2 miles per gallon, we burned 9,000 gallons less of fuel at $2 a gallon. So we're already $18,000 ahead just on that unit in fuel just alone. So there definitely is something to the efficiency piece of it. The other piece I'll add, we have 16 tandems in our fleet, and 8 of them are already 2012 or older. So Commissioner Kruger point about there's a bunch coming up in the cycle that are the same age. They're getting up there. So to keep them on a regular cycle just saves on maintenance, saves on a number of things like we previously mentioned.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Okay. Yes, Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, just to agree with the findings that Doug brought forward today, and appreciate that Doug and John have been able to bring a lot of the facts, figures, and numbers today. It's instead of just looking like we're buying $500,000 worth of trucks, there's an awful lot of homework that went into making this happen. And it's definitely not about buying new paint. This is about efficiencies, trucks that are new to us, and being able to be multifunctional by taking the box off and putting the fifth wheel on, and of course keeping up with our fleet. We don't have a lot of mechanics, and with the difficulties we're having in filling positions these days, I really don't want to hire more either. So I think it's important that when we notice that these trucks they have a hard life plowing snow, and when they start to get weak and a little bit rusty, it's time to move them out before the repairs start costing more than what the truck is worth. So it is expensive to maintain them. To maintain an older fleet, it also costs a lot of money to buy new stuff. But I think we're money ahead by keeping up with our rotation, even though we do realize that money is tight. We don't want to be wastefully spending, but I think we are making some wise decisions by getting these trucks today. I think, like Doug brought up, how do we approach this? It's kind of a once you start, you can't stop till you're through the end of the agenda items with the truck, the packages, and so forth. But if we need to get this started, I'll make a motion to approve the purchasing of the trucks from us Trucking Equipment, which should be just item B, I guess.
Yeah, so we'll take, we have two. All right, just a second, John. So just to make sure we're organized, we're gonna take item B, which is one truck, because there's different prices, so we gotta take them one at a time. Is that okay, Paul?
Yeah.
And then that would include the trade piece?
Well, it would be everything covered within item B if we want to keep the agenda together, I guess. So just to keep it, just to realize that we don't want to forget anything, we probably better stick with what is included within the agenda items.
Mr. Chair?
So just a second, Doug, item B, is there a second?
That's what I was going to do, is second it. And then I'd like to
second by Commissioner Kruger. Go ahead, Doug.
A couple of comments that I forgot to mention earlier is I'd like to trade in a friendly amendment to the motion. I think maybe it can go further down, but I'd like the trucks themselves come up on min bid before they get traded in. According to the information that I received yesterday, we have time, and the dealerships will allow us to put them up on min bid for anybody that thinks we're not getting enough. Obviously, I look at that too, and it's like everything else. When you want to buy something, it's high price, and when you want to sell something, it's not worth anything or trade it in. But just to clear the air on that, I'd like to see them go to go to min bid and see if we can do better and put the reserve on at the trade price. And the second thing that I wanted to mention is when these units, that's part of the management thoughts and efficiencies. When these units get hung, when that sander unit gets hung, I'd like to see how for the summer, how our maintenance, they're stainless steel, and I'd like to see how maintenance keeps up with those units, because that doesn't mean when the cycling comes up or you have a bad power unit, you can just replace the power unit and hang on to the sander. I mean, there's quite a number of efficiencies. I mean, you can call it rationalization, but I'm really looking at the efficiencies long term.
John, I'd like your comments regarding the min bid.
Yeah, so that certainly is an option. In the past, we've got, we've typically got less than that amount, but we have time with that truck. These trucks are probably delivered in, if I recall, around June, July, sometime even after that, I think is when they're due. So we have time to put them on min bid. I would recommend we put them on min bid for the trade value plus the tax. So 18,000 plus the 6.5% of that is what we would get for. That's what we're getting from Nuss Equipment. So I would put that truck on for a minimum bid of 19,170.
Mike, you turned your mute button off. Do you have anything to add?
Well, if that's the way that the board wishes to go, that's fine. Then you probably want to make one motion for the purchase of two 2022 Mack tandem trucks at $138,345.51 each. And then a second motion as to how you are going to deal with the two vehicles that they're replacing.
Okay, so you have that number for the two put together, Mike?
I didn't add them together. I just took the 120,345.51 in item B and added to that the 18,000 trade-in.
I just want to make sure we get the numbers right. Forgive me.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ron.
We would also, because the sales tax is being applied to the net sale price rather than the trade, we'd have to include the difference in the sales tax in the calculation of the total package.
I believe it's 139,515.51 per truck.
John, if you say an amount not to exceed 140,000, is that satisfactory?
That will cover it, I believe, yes.
So what you would do then, Mr. Chair, is you would entertain an amendment for the purchase of two 2022 Mack tandem chassis trucks at a total amount of not to exceed 280,000.
Mr. Chair, I would make that amendment.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Polmeyer, I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
The value of these trucks and so forth, this is something that is needed, and it's no different than any homeowner improving your house or improving your farm equipment or anything else. So this is a needed improvement for the efficiencies, and Commissioner Kruger said it very well. And that's probably why I'm supporting this. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I appreciate all the research that Commissioner Kruger has done on this issue, and I appreciate the confidence that they have in the process. The question I have for John is, do we have the staff and the equipment in our highway shop to make the transition from a snowplow to a fifth-wheel semi-tractor seasonally? Year after year, we're going to be putting parts on and off these trucks. So, what's that look like in the future? Are we in good shape? Will we need any additional equipment in the shop to make these changeovers?
I don't anticipate any other equipment needed. The Sanders come with their own self-supporting legs, I believe, and everything. So there's nothing major that we'd need in the future for them.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Doug.
Commissioner Szymanski, I did also ask that question yesterday, and they kind of ran it through with Brian, and John's right. The legs come down. There's adjustments. It's I don't want to compare it to taking off a camper, but it was a lot like that. The legs are I asked the same question if we needed overhead hoists, and it looks pretty simple. To be quite honest with you, that was another reason, and they look easy to work on and clean up in the summer. And again, in the management world or efficiency world, maybe you can keep them longer and you can keep the tractor. I mean, it's worth the experiment in my mind. Does that help you, Ron? I mean, it looked fairly. It actually snaps onto the fifth wheel pin, and then it has some other supports. It looked. It was looked really good to me. I've been in the trucking field. It looks like somebody came up with a good idea. So
yeah. Brian and Elvis are on the call as well if they have other comments.
Yeah, if Brian's on, he explained it to me, so he can probably do a better job.
Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, yeah, the Sanders are all self-contained, so you just put the four legs on, and the trucks have airbag suspension, so you leave the air out of the bags and drive the truck out. It's just hooked right to the fifth wheel of the truck. Of course, you got to unhook your hydraulics and electrical wiring. That's all plug-in, so it's pretty simple.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Mr. Chair, if I may ask another question. In looking at the photographs, and I appreciate the photographs within the packet. They're really informative. But I noticed, the wing attachments and the underbelly blades, are those things removed seasonally as well as the sanding box itself? And the concern is, that we get it bolted back on and, all the attachments are secure so that we don't have an incident, where there's an equipment failure in one season or another.
Brian, can you address that?
Yeah, the underbodies, we got stands to put them on for taking them off. So we can just slide them out from underneath. And the front hitch, the bumper part would stay on. Part of the front hitch would come off. So most of it would be coming off.
All right,
Brian,
thank you, Brian.
Comment, you told me yesterday they're all the same. I mean, they're all interchangeable. I guess I'm not clear if the new ones would be, but you told me on the fleet, all the different blades, plows, whatever, are all interchangeable. They're all the same.
Yeah, on this particular model, the front plow would be the same, the wing would be the same as all the other trucks. And they're just bolt-on accessories that it's easy to put them on and off.
All right. Ron, did that answer your question?
Yes, I'm satisfied. Good answers.
Thank you. All right. Hearing or seeing no further discussion, I'll proceed to vote.
Mr. Chair, you're voting on the amendment to the original motion.
Yes, sir. So the amendment, so we'll basically vote twice on this, correct?
Correct.
All right. Commissioner Kruger on the amendment?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes yes. Amendment passes 5-0. Just to recap, this would not include the trade piece, correct, Mike? We'll address that in a minute.
That's correct. It does not include any of the trade-ins or dealing with any authorization to sell the vehicles that are being replaced.
Very good. So strictly looking at the purchase of the vehicles. Any questions about that before we entertain a motion?
Mr. Chair, just clarification, Mike, this does allow us, I mean, we spoke to the part that the truck company will allow us to do this just so we can fill them back in again in that price. Is that correct, Mike?
Commissioner Kruger, what this motion does is it authorizes the purchase of the 2 new vehicles at a total price not to exceed $280,000. You will then make a second motion after this regarding the disposal of the replaced vehicles.
Thank you.
All right, looking for a motion to approve. Or looking for a motion.
You already have the motion, Mr. Chair. It's been moved and amended. So now you are voting on the original motion as amended.
So Mike, I can call the vote then?
Yes.
All right. With that information, Commissioner Kruger, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel, yes. Motion is 5-0. All right, let's get organized on the trade piece. So I think what I'm hearing is the board would like to have these trade-in prices honored, but yet explore what MinBid can do for us first. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, that would be what I'd like to see. It clears the air on, I mean, I first look at it again, you know, you look at a trade-in at 18,000, 15,000, whatever the case may be. My justification for it was it gives any township or city that's looking for a truck that thinks that's a deal and wants some information. We have it there. It just clears the air, but I just want to make sure that we can go back in then and from my information, we can put it on the trade as stated.
John, you're comfortable with that?
Yeah, I would think you want the motion to include selling of a min bid for a minimum price of the trade value plus sales tax. And if that's not achieved, then trade them into Nuss equipment.
To be correct.
Sounds good. That sounds good to me. Doug, can I take that as a motion?
Yes, you can. I didn't, Mike, just so we have the do not to exceed so that should cover all the issues that we were talking about.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
I'll second Polmeyer.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel, yes. Motion carries 5-0. All right, if I have it organized here, and that's a wild card. Item D, John, regarding the equipment, right?
Correct. Item D would be the purchase of 2 truck equipment packages from Tollmaster Truck Equipment out of Litchfield, Minnesota. State contract price for those is $119,719 each, for a total cost of $239,438. Again, this is coming from 2021 equipment budget.
Well, we bought the trucks.
Mr. Chair.
I move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer, is there a second?
Second by Szymanski.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. John, anything else?
Oh, that covers it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. On to the county attorney's office. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the closed session that we had roughly a month ago, we talked about, might have been 2 weeks ago, we talked about whether or not the county board wished to appeal from the condemnation commissioner awards. You don't need to concern yourself with that anymore. The landowners have appealed. So Pashusta, Blazinski, and Selchow have appealed the awards. That will now be set into the district court as a jury trial. And that joins the prior notices of appeal that we received from the Vorlicek and Schultz parcels. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No action needed, correct, Mike?
Correct.
All right. Any questions for Mike before we move on? Very good. Employee relations, Hannah. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I have 3 items today. Item A, consider adopting Resolution 20 CB43, which is establishing McLeod County's own merit system, merit of personnel administration. McLeod County has been pursuing an exit from the state merit system for the past 2 years. The county has fulfilled all of the requirements by the state to establish its own county merit system of personnel administration, and the final steps include 1, adopting the above requested resolution, 2, approving merit required modifications to the county's personnel or policy manual, and 3, adopting and appointing a personnel board of appeals. By establishing the county's own merit system, it will be able to have full control over its hiring process and provide a much more efficient method of hiring and promoting health and human services staff. McLeod County would be the 23rd county to exit the state merit system, and the county currently pays a fee of approximately $12,000 per year for participating in the state merit system. So this is really the last step in that exit.
Very good. Any questions for Hannah?
Mr. Chair, I move the adoption of Resolution 20 CB43.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there a second?
Kruger seconds.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Schmansky?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes yes. Motion carries 5-0. All right.
Thank you.
Hannah, item B.
Item B, consider approval to adjust the meal allowance reimbursement amount when eligible employees are traveling outside of the county in the McLeod County personnel policy to be $20 for a half day and $40 for a full day. This change is requested to create consistency between the personnel policy and McLeod County's labor agreements.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Sheila.
I'd just like to add that, as you know, we've settled our 8 union contracts, and then this was intended to be updated in our personnel policy for simplification. It is not a significant change to the county, and just noting that this is only paid when an employee is traveling outside of the county. Our previous policy was a little bit prohibitive to allowing people to grab a meal if they needed to be out of town for a conference or a meeting, and a lot of employees were ending up with a cost when they had really no other option than to eat where they were. So I hope that this all makes sense, because all of you have seen this in our contracts that we brought to you prior, and just wanted to set that up. Thank you.
Commissioner Schmansky?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the change in policy.
Motion by Commissioner Schmansky. Is there a second?
Commissioner Wright, second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Schmansky?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes yes. Motion carries 5-0. Item C.
Thank you. Item C is consider approval of the updated Public Works organizational chart. The reason behind reorganization is to continue to grow the McLeod County Parks and Fairground facilities and to find consistency across the county. This organizational chart should have been in your in the packet, and I know John is on the call as well if there's any additional questions.
Any questions for Hannah or John?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the organizational chart for Public Works.
Motion by Kruger. Is there a second?
I'll second, Polmeyer.
second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagels, yes. Motion carries 5-0. Hannah, anything else?
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, very good. We're going to move on to county administration and review our calendars. I will let the two outgoing commissioners have the end today, but I will just start. I only have a few meetings that I want to bring up. I'm meeting with some community members and the assessor's office regarding different items that they had questions on, and they invited me to attend, which I appreciated. And we were able to come up with some good ideas from the public and our assessor's office. Personnel meeting that we covered some of the things that we just went through. And then our health and human services meeting that we addressed because, well, basically the meeting went so long 2 weeks ago, we had to move it. So that's why it got rescheduled. But I appreciate everybody on the staff and accommodating that. So that is all I have. Commissioner Kruger? You're muted, Doug.
Sorry. I mean, because of the holidays and COVID, my schedule is kind of short here. It's we had a budget committee meeting on the 21st. On the 22nd, we had an HHS meeting, and I also that afternoon had a Buffalo Creek watershed meeting where we discussed some issues with the in my district here with the middle ditch here north of Glencoe and some of the work that's being done on Morningside. The 23rd was our agenda review, and yesterday I spent a good part of the day going through the trucks. And we already had that discussion, so it was worth it. I mean, and the guys were just point of information. The guys were willing to show us this stuff, and it's kind of helps if you go see it. And I think it's good for our employees too to see us working. I had not been in the Hats building outside of the offices before, and they took me through the shop, and it's somewhat enlightening. So I encourage somebody if they have time to go through it. That's all I have. Happy New Year to everyone.
Commissioner Wright, go ahead.
Since our last marathon board meeting that we had our HHS meeting, and Doug had already mentioned budget meeting. And as far as formal meetings go, that's about it since the last time we met. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yeah, since the last meeting, I guess everything has been covered. The personnel meeting, the items we covered are Health and Human Service. We also had a Planning Commission meeting, and I believe that those things on that agenda will be coming forward to the board in January here. So that brings me up to today, and once again, I just want to thank everyone for supporting me during the last 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Commissioner Szymanski, all you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I might have several questions for your report, just so you know, but other than that, the floor is yours.
My report is short. On Monday, I think it was last week Monday, let's put it that way. We had a Meeker McLeod Sibley Community Health Board Finance Committee meeting. There's been a grant presented to the Meeker McLeod Sibley for the COVID immunizations coming up, and so our finance committee worked out the details on how we we'll distribute those funds to the 3 counties in our Meeker McLeod Public Health Co-op. And we held that meeting last Monday. And then on Tuesday, we had our Health and Human Services meeting. And we just talked to Joe talk about that. So that was the extent of my meetings in the past 2 weeks. And so again, I would also like to wish everyone a Happy New Year. Hopefully we get past the COVID and get on with life as normal and enjoyment of the new government center when it opens up next month. So, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Rod. All right, moving on under administration, item A. Sheila.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item A is regarding a software that is used at Health and Human Services. Consider approval of the ACS SWS Support Services Agreement for 2021 between McLeod County and TriMeans Systems, Inc. for a total cost of $2,400 with funds from the Income Maintenance and Individual and Family Social Services budget. TriMeans Systems, Inc. provides computer programming, technical assistance, and related services to support and maintain the agency collection system and social welfare system. The cost for the service is split evenly between the services for a total of $2,400. Thank you.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the contract.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second, Polmeyer.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes yes. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item B, consider adopting resolution 20-CB-44, accepting additional funds being transferred to McLeod County in the amount of $709,749.09, including $17,310.95 in administrative cost allocation, and extending the appointment of the temporary committee members, Coronavirus Relief Fund Committee through April 2021. McLeod County Board of Commissioners adopted Resolution 20-CB-31-31 on August 4, 2020 to accept initial funds transferred to McLeod County as part of the CARES Act Coronavirus Relief Fund and establishing the CARES Act Coronavirus Relief Fund Temporary Committee to oversee the funds allocated by the Budget Committee to distribute equitable and mutually agreeable allocation of the funds within the county for eligible uses identified through a grant allocation program. McLeod County has now been identified of an additional round of funding passed by Minnesota legislature on December 15, 2020, and to be distributed to local governments. Resolution 20-CB-44 would authorize acceptance of these additional funds as well as extend the temporary CRF committee to oversee the distribution of the funds through April 2021. This bucket of money from the state was allocated only to counties, not to cities and townships like it was last time. And it has a little bit more of a focused approach and qualifiers for recipients of those funds. Our hope would be to reactivate this committee, move forward. The funds have to be allocated no later than March 15th and paid to the recipients no later than April 1st. And they can only go to people who are directly affected by the executive order restrictions that were put into place. The plan is to distribute those funds to profit and nonprofit businesses in McLeod County. Any funds given to the county from the state have to be spent within the county to which they were given. Any funds that are unspent have to be returned to the state after April 1st. Thank you.
Chair, if I may.
Yes. Paul.
Well, I think accepting the funds is a no-brainer, but on the topic of the committee members, I guess we have no idea sitting here today how many more of these relief funds or stimulus packages are going to exist in the future. But I do believe that it's important that we have consistency on those that committee that oversees that. And I think that the individuals that we had on the committee last time did a great job. Steve, Jerry, and Lori were the ones that served from outside of county government, and they did a great job of participating and bringing forth ideas. And in the end, we did a very good job, I believe, in distributing those funds the best that we could. And so I think that they definitely need to stay on if they're willing, and that community stays intact. Again, it's that consistency of keeping the same people watching this that I think is going to help and make the process faster and continue fairness as we look at those applications. So with that, I'll make a motion to accept resolution 20 CB44.
I'll second it, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
While being very thankful for the funds, and I will work hard to get them distributed correctly. It is light on administration, though. I just want to let everybody know, and that's another, adding to Commissioner Wright's comments, that helps by keeping the committee members intact. So we should be able to be efficient in getting these funds out to where they're needed. Thanks.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, one more note. Excuse me, sorry. One more note that is very important is that the administrative funds that are set aside by the state are quite conservative, which is expected. It was noted last time as well. The other funds, another portion of the funds can be used as needed for administration of the funds, which is expected. So I just wanted to note that. Thank you.
Very good. Seeing no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Pohlmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes yes. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you all. Item C. Consider approval of health insurance addendum with Teamsters Public and Law Enforcement Employees Union Local Number 320, representing the clerical unit, effective January 1, 2021.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Is there a second?
Second by Szymanski.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Pohlmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes yes. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Item D, notification of the oath of office of newly elected officials to be held at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom and at the Glencoe City Center, 1107 11th Street East, Glencoe, Minnesota, on January 5th, 2020. The date is not noted there, so please write that down if you need it. You notice that we're going to be back at the Glencoe City Center on January 5th. This annual meeting has to be held in the county seat. We have not been holding our meetings at the Glencoe City Center due to the pandemic and the raids in the county, and just trying to keep everyone safe over here at the Agribition building in McLeod County Fairgrounds. However, that meeting will be at the Glencoe City Center. Thank you. Item E, notification of board workshop to be held following the board meeting on January 5th, 2020 via Zoom and at the Glencoe City Center, again at 1107 11th Street East, Glencoe, Minnesota. Item F, notification that the board workshop following today's board meeting on December 2020 will not take place. Item G, which is the previous item H from today's consent agenda, which was moved. Approve amendment to Prime West Health Behavioral Health Participation Agreement for the period of January 1, 2021 through December 31, 2021. Prime West Health will pay for targeted case management services provided to members at a rate of $650 per month for children and $400 per month for adults. This will apply for the months in which TCM, targeted case management, clients receive targeted case management services from the county. This is authorizing Barrett Spores, or we're requesting that you authorize Barrett Spores, Health and Human Services Director, to sign on behalf of McLeod County.
Mr. Chair?
All right, yes, Ron.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the amendment to the Prime West Health Behavioral Health Participation Agreement.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second, Polmeyer.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, to proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes yes. Motion carries 5-0. All right, open forum. Press relations. Anyone wish to address the board? Seeing none, I just want to thank everybody for this year. It's been a difficult one. We've had several different boardrooms. We've moved around the county, tried to do things right. Some of us have worked out of our houses, and I appreciate it. These meetings are incredibly difficult to participate in and facilitate in a split environment. So thank you for your patience with me, although I probably lost my patience more than I'm proud to say. So thank you very much. With that, Commissioner Polmeyer, would you like to make a motion to recess?
Yes, I'll move to recess.
Commissioner Szymanski, is there a second?
Mr. Chair, I would second it, but in the process, I would also like to thank you as chair, because I don't think you ever lost control of any of these events. It's always been well managed. So, and congratulations to you and to all the commissioners serving McLeod County. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Kruger?
Aye.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Aye.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel votes yes. Motion carries 5-0. We're in recess, and we'll see you in a week. Happy New Year.